Welcome, everyone, to the HTL Cup Series Miami 400. Going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out here in Homestead-Miami Speedway. Technical issues abound, everyone trying to adjust and get used to different things. But we are still rolling here in Miami. It's HTL Miami on Mondays. Coming up next. Using the good old throwback format here, as we did on Saturday, our typical overlay system produced an update that threw things for a little bit of a loop. We're glad you're with us, so I'm Carmen, Sienna, for tonight's event. 161 laps. Stage 1 ending on lap 50. Stage 2 ending on lap 100 here tonight. So everyone getting ready to go racing. We're starting a little bit normal because we're having to get used to everything. But we are glad that you are with us as things get ready to get underway. A lot of things a little bit different here, including the starting grid. Pacey Wygent and Tucker Sawyer front of the field. We're using the old overlay system through and through here tonight. Some of these numbers aren't entirely accurate. See if we can update that. See if these are carried over from last night. Give us just a second to try to get that refreshed here for you. But it's Pacey Wygent and Tucker Sawyer on the front row here in Homestead-Miami Speedway. Josh Susie, Patrick Oberstadt in row 2. Bobby Blowers, Josh Arnold in row number 3. Row 4, Brady Smith and Emily Howe. Blake Henderson, Stephen Oberstadt, DJ Trout, and Elias Flores make up your top 12 here in Homestead. Row 7 is where you'll find Mo Perry and Justin Mulliken. Mulliken making his debut for Beagle Denny Racing here. He starts 14th, replacing Dustin Hall, who's on vacation. Mirabella Viscali, Jason Scott in row 8. Richard Odie, Zach Apperson, row 9. Alfred Denny and Philip Snipes, row 10. Then it's Derek Miller and Eli Sasick outside the top 20 in row 11. Row 12, Malachi Tracy and Bailey Thompson. Look a little further down, Blue Jade and Nicholas Pressey in row number 13. Row 14, Zach Meredith, Caitlin Height, Byron Jones, Olivia Pereira, Gary Donaldson, Casey Ellis, John Matthews, and Dale Markowski, rounding out the field of 34 for tonight's race in Homestead-Miami. Everything kind of scuffed, but we are here and we are going to push through it. Huge shout out to our Premier Tier patrons over at patreon.com/APN Studios. We appreciate all the support they've given us here. They've tried helping us troubleshoot today. It's been a troublesome day, to say the least, but we're going to keep pushing along. 161 laps. The drivers will push along as well tonight. It's going to be a brand new experience here. Appreciate everyone being with us. Pace car is in, which means it is now showtime. The green flag flies and we're underway and racing. And under caution immediately, Malachi Tracy spins out immediately. Let's take a look at what happened here. On board with the 35. just gassed it up from the back of the field and spun it. Unfortunately, that's pretty straightforward. Still getting things figured out using this old system. So I do apologize. Trying to figure out what's going to work best for us here tonight. Because again, we're just kind of on a whim right now. One car did not start the race here. It looks like John Matthews starting in parking, so his day is done early here. Olivia Pierre coming out of pit lane as the only person taking a pit stop and returning to the racetrack. So, 161 laps, we're going to be experimenting with a decent amount here tonight. So, bear with us. Ready to go back racing with Wygant and Sawyer at the front of the field. An idea who's where for this restart. Two cars did not take the initial start. Dale Markowski and John Matthews, who did take the start but retired on the first lap, will leave us with 32 running, 16 rows on the nose. Down from Wygant to Pereira. The Ascent Racing cars line up the group here. They bookend the field. Getting ready for this first restart of the night. Pace car pulls back in. And away we go. Back underway here in Miami. Some laps in under green. Wygant leads the way. Car up in the fence, I believe it was Sawyer it was. The 90 of Tucker Sawyer. A little too close to that wall. Felt like they were crawling to 3 and 4. They were not. Everyone just trying to get into a groove and get into a rhythm here. Emily Howe, fastest lap of the race. There's a lot of we didn't get a cover because we didn't get a pre-race show. If we had been able to start at 8 p.m. like we had wanted to, we would have went over a little bit on the pre-race side of things. Josh Susi in the number 14 filling in for James Wright tonight was one of the big news topics for this event, and we're just now talking about it now on lap 8 because all the technical issues and everything going on. The two Arrowhead teammates for the night, Emily Howe and Josh Susi, battling for position. That's for 4th. Caitlin Height having a lot of work to do, started this race further down in the field. So did Mirabella Viscali, starting this race in 15th place. Right now sitting ahead of Justin Mulliken in that number 1, the debutante in that number 1 car. Little bit of trouble there. That is Meredith. Really good save there by Meredith. But huge trouble. He'll drop down to 32nd. Saw a lot of really good racing on Saturday, the HTL Challenger Series finale here at Homestead. We were curious as to what we were going to see here in the Cup Series. Way different vehicles. But we see the drivers use different lanes. So far, the bottom lane's been the go-to lane. That being said, Emily Howe is running the top side pretty well. Up to 3rd, Susi to 4th. They both got around Josh Arnold to move up a spot each. Flowers in 6th. Patrick Oberstadt behind Brady Smith. That's your top 8. Blake Henderson in 9th. Stephen Oberstadt in the top 10. Blake Henderson, not a fan of this racetrack, but so far it's working out for him in a decent way. Getting passed here by Oberstadt. And DJ Trout's in the mix as well, but he is sitting up a little bit higher than he expected he would going into this event. Gives him something to fight for. He's got to fight with Stephen Oberstadt. He's got to fight with Mirabella Viscali to maintain his spot. He's 16th in points right now. He is right above the cut line by a singular point. Stephen Oberstadt 5 back. Mirabella Viscali on the other side of that fence. 1 point out entering this event here in Homestead. Viscali under the weather. And it has been a struggle so far. Another change that we've not had a chance to talk about, Philip Snipes in the 11 and not June Jimenez. Jimenez stepping down from that car for the remainder of the season. Philip Snipes jumping in from the 17 to the 11. And caution has come out, and you see why. Arnold, and I think that's Susi, it is. And they crash behind, Mulliken involved. And we'll take a look as to what happened here. That was for 4th. And Susi's day as a super sub may be over. So let's take a look at what happened, and we're going to need a high-up shot, not an onboard here. I guess we'll keep the onboard for a moment. Onboard with Susi at this one. Hard impact, straight to the left front. But we'll need to take a look from high above to see exactly what happened. Looks like there may have been contact between the two. And so here's a look a little bit further back. This is in 3 and 4. Emily Howe, the 15. Susi, the 14. I don't know if there was contact or not. You see the arrow loose situation that Josh Arnold encountered there. Snapped loose and overcorrected. And Susi was the one trying to use the arrow, really the side draft, the arrow force that these cars are so sensitive to, and it backfires and shoots him straight into the outside wall. We'll take another look here. Pit stop's underway. Not a whole lot changing as far as the status quo goes. Yeah, I don't think there's any contact initially between the 14 and the 12. Looking at it from there, it looks like there was a gap. It just Arnold got loose because the air was taken off of the right side of the car. And Susie just gets clobbered for his efforts. So both of them on pit lane. Substantial damage for both. Arnold trying to beat the pace car out here. Tucker Sawyer leads the way over Pacey Wygant. Your top 12 stayed out under this caution. Everyone from 13th on down. Caitlin Height took fuel only. Emily Howell took 4 tires. They will occupy row 7 on this restart. Josh Susie's day is done. Not surprising. You saw the suspension damage on that number 14 machine. His appearance here at Homestead short-lived. The reigning HTL Challenger Series champion. Not having the night he had hoped to have. So Sawyer and Wygant at the front of the field for Ascent Racing. Then it's Brady Smith, Bobby Blowers, and the Eberstadt brothers. Patrick on the inside, Steven on the outside. The green flag flies. They're back underway. Taking it really easy through 3 and 4. But Sawyer leads the way, looking for his first win on an oval in his career. Now he's at a Pacey Wygant, the pole sitter. Brady Smith makes it a 1-2-3 for the Ascent Joe Show connection. Flowers there in 4th. Applying pressure. Steven Oberstadt up to 5th. Blake Henderson in 6th. Remember, those restarting the top 12 did not come down pit lane, so they have older tires here. Emily Howell, first car on fresh tires, trying to climb forward. Right now working against Apperson and Snipes. Snipes in the outside lane. Going to be side by side with his teammate. Both of them in the top 10, 9th and 10th. Apperson in the 11th spot, Meredith in 12th. Alfred Denny down to 13th place. Emily Howell's the only one that's made any inroads on these cars that have stayed out so far. We'll see how it pans out as this run goes along. Remember, stage 1 ends lap 50. So if we do get a prolonged green flag run, Emily Howell will be sitting pretty well. But we have to get a long green flag run first. Now battling now with the 88 of Patrick Oberstadt, trying to surge forward here. Blowers has gotten his way around Brady Smith. Brady Smith slipping backwards here under threat from Henderson and Steven Oberstadt. Henderson got a little bit loose, trying to keep Patrick Oberstadt and Emily Howell at bay, and it will not work. Emily Howell gets forward, back up into 6th. And now you're seeing drivers search for real estate. Steven Oberstadt attacking Brady Smith. Emily Howe setting up a run here through turns 3 and 4. Henderson goes bottom side, drifts up to the middle. Everyone a lot more timid there in turns 3 and 4. Pull up the weather here and not seeing a huge amount of wind. In the wind that I do see is a crosswind. It could be pushing out in 3 and 4, making things a little bit tighter. But not a lot of wind. It will actually just decrease a little bit more, down to 4, 5 miles an hour. Not a lot of wind to affect these cars. But it's completely different behaviors between the two sides of the racetrack. The track temp's not a great situation. 120 degrees, the track temp, is a difficult scenario to handle. On those fresh tires moving forward. Mo Perry beginning to move forward as well. The 97 needing a good race, has had an entire month of misery leading into tonight. 2 back-to-back DNS the last 2 weeks for the 97 camp. Can they course correct here in Miami? So far, trending in the right direction. Top 10 is where you find Mo Perry. And he's going to try to go 3 wide outside of Patrick Oberstadt. DJ Trout to the bottom. DJ Trout stays ahead of Perry. But they're both on the move. DJ Trout on old tires. Perry pit on lap 13. Richard Odie also pit on lap 13. He is up into 12th. A little bit of latency, though, for the 78 camp. They got to be careful with that. But everyone is in the mix right now. It is Pacey Wygent back in front of Tucker Sawyer. Tucker Sawyer was leading until he got loose. And now he's getting up first, and he might have given up second to Bobby Blowers as well. We'll see how this pans out. Blowers has been really capitalizing on 3 and 4. Emily Howe, though, is also now in the mix right there with this group of 3. It's now 4 Musketeers at the front of the field. Lap 26, halfway through stage 1. Howe goes up near the fence. Sawyer gives a lot of space in the corner for Emily Howe to just drive right up to the leaders. 4 cars within a quarter of a second. And there's not a whole lot any of them can do because they're on old tires. They're hoping that things come around good. But Emily Howe is going to try to drive by them and run away. Blowers try and hang on to position here. There's just not a whole lot of place for Emily Howe to go now that she's been boxed in by the top 3. Steven Oberstadt in 5th, though. Henderson and then Perry now in 7th. Ahead of DJ Trout, Brady Smith in 9th. Zach Apperson back up into the top 10. As things sit, a lot of battling here. Here comes Zach Meredith. He was loose a couple laps ago here in 3 and 4. Still struggling with 3 and 4. But it seems like he's at least found the limit on that 2 car as he battles now with Bailey Thompson in the 27. Emily Howe goes bottom of the racetrack through 1 and 2. Blowers gets boxed up by Sawyer in the upper lane. Had to get well out of the gas. Emily Howe now on the bottom of the racetrack in the tire tracks of Pacey Wygent and gets clear of Tucker Sawyer. Battle for the race lead now engaging. Mo Perry likewise using fresh tires, attacking Blake Henderson for that 6th spot. Perry and Henderson side by side. And Henderson outside lane. Is it enough to stay level? Almost. Emily Howe has driven to the underneath of Pacey Wygent and gets clear of the 00. And caution has come out for the 3rd time. And it is for Justin Mulliken, the number 1, has spun around. I believe that's turns 1 and 2 it is. So he's found trouble for the second time tonight. He was involved in the caution with Susie and Arnold. And this time, he is a affected driver all on his own. So let's take a look at what happened to Justin Mulliken, and it looks like he is loose early in the corner here. We'll take a look. Yeah, it just breaks loose on him. As soon as he puts on the throttle, he just breaks loose. You're going to see traffic coming up to him. That's Josh Arnold that had to make avoiding action there. So the right call to have the caution come out. He was parked on the racing line on the exit of turn 2. And so pit stop for him. He stopped before his pit box there, so I believe he might have had a technical issue that may have helped trigger that as well, that he may have been trying to resolve there before getting to his pit box. So now the field resets, and now we've got about 10 drivers who stayed out here on lap 13 tires, from Emily Howell down to Derek Miller. And this is going to be potentially a bloodbath, because now most of the field's on fresher tires, and they're on fresher tires by almost 20 laps. Emily Howell pit on lap 13. Pacey Wygen just pit on lap 30. So everyone's got to think a little bit more outside the box here. Casey Ellis getting back around here. Joining the field on the lead lap. I believe Josh Arnold also got his lead lap back. He did go a lap down, getting accident damage repaired from that lap 11 crash. But he is now back on the lead lap with the free pass. All 31 still rolling are on the lead lap now. As we get ready to go back racing, it is Emily Howell and Mo Perry at the front of the field. Pace car pulls in, third restart of the night. Old tires at the front, fresh tires at the back. Let's go racing. Wheel spin from Perry. Out in front, Richard Odie up to second place for just a moment, because here comes the cavalry. And trouble further back. Huge trouble. Sawyer gets turned. It's a big stack up here on the back straightaway. Multiple cars involved. Over a dozen on the back straightaway, and that's what we were afraid of. Old tires versus fresh tires. Trouble immediately for several drivers. Patrick Oberstadt involved in that. He did not get lucky on that situation at all. And it's so unfortunate for him. Let's take a look at what happened here. Looking at Tucker Sawyer, 3 wide. That's Derek Miller in the middle. Blowers up top. And it's just a hip check there. Miller gets turned completely sideways. And there's nowhere for anybody to go. Henderson tries shooting the gap. The gap closes thanks to Apperson hitting Miller. Nowhere for DJ Trout to go. Nowhere for Zach Meredith to go. Patrick Oberstadt in the middle of nowhere. Kalen Height, the 13, in trouble there. You see Justin Mulligan, who had just had that last spin, gets involved in this one as well, in that number 1. Riding on board here with Patrick Oberstadt. Let's take a look at how his race came to be. Not the most pleasant experience, I think. Likewise, we'll take a look at Henderson. He also did not have a fun time here. Quick reaction, do what you can. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do in that situation. So we're just hoping, pray, that it comes around good. Down one more car. Patrick Oberstadt's day is done. So we're now down to 30. We're ready to go back racing here. Emily Howe, Mo Perry going to give it another shot. Sasic, Odie, Cressy, Viscali, Tracy, and Jade, your top 8. We're back underway. Flowers trying to aggressively charge the front of the field there. Up in the fence in a big way there for a moment. Scally trying to keep Blowers from getting around. Blowers on fresh tires, though. Wise enough to it. Thompson trying to move forward, now sitting in the top 10 as well. And you see the hodgepodge of cars further back. The cars on older tires falling back. The cars on newer tires stepping over themselves, trying to navigate those cars that don't have the pace. Casey Wygant, freshest tires up in front. Gets ahead of Mo Perry. Not a lot of battle there between the two teammates. As Wygant now sets his sights on the 15 Emily Howe to try to get that race lead back. And caution is out once again And we believe it is for Justin Mulliken again. And he's not alone. It is Elias Flores in trouble too. What has happened on our fifth caution tonight? We'll take a look. Oh! Huge hit. We need to go back, I think. Thought it was safe to press play. It was not. Mulliken in the 1, Trout in the 31 behind him. Trout never touched him. Mulliken just got loose, snapped, and smacks the wall in front of Flores and again Meredith. You see the 96 of Pereira having to make avoiding action. Jason Scott, the 5 of Casey Ellis, also making avoiding action there. He turned his teammate because he has no steering. So Jason Scott does get a piece because he got spun around, and there's nothing Flores could do about it. That's a gut-wrenching feeling. Flores has since been retrieved back to pit lane. And I would have to assume, losing the steering like that, his day will be over, and we will have another retirement. Emily Howe still out in front. Points leader by a healthy margin going into this event. Would have to imagine that it would take a lot for Emily Howe to lose points in this event. A lot of pace in that 15 car, almost a 15 truck. Not quite. Emily Howe entered at a 114-point gap over Wygen. So over a race gap, Emily Howe could finish last and still have the points lead over Pacey Wygen and Company here tonight. Derek Miller beat the pace car out, as did several others that were still getting repair work done from the caution before that collected over a dozen cars. Mulliken still on pit lane, as is Flores. So we will have 28 joining the restart here for the 5th time tonight. Already action-packed here in Homestead, as it was on Saturday night for the Challenger Series. 8 cautions. Almost a record number for the Challenger Series this season. One shy of the record. We've had 5 in the first 45 laps here in the Cup Series. Emily Howe leads the points and leads the race as well over Pacey Wygen, who sits second in both. Let's see how things pan out. Ben Roberts, Dustin Hall, both of them not present. Josh Arnold failing, dropping early. He's now still running in 25th, but he's got an uphill to climb. So we'll see how things stack up. The pace car is back in. The green flag is back out. And for the 5th time, we're back underway. Sawyer trying to follow his teammates through here. It is Sasek behind Pacey Wygen on fresher tires. Trouble, Sawyer. And Sawyer keeps it against the wall. Is that a yellow? No, it is not. Justin Mulliken's day is over. Sawyer down pit lane now. Emily Howe loses the race lead. Not a whole lot you can do in that situation. Looks like it could be day done for Tucker Sawyer here. Emily Howe on older tires battling back here on the 00. So the 15's got some long run pace in those tires and still be competitive and holding on to the 00 right now. Wygent goes topside through turns 1 and 2, and Emily Howe ran the bottom and stayed right there with him. Malachi Tracy in the mix right now, looking for stage points for the first time in his very short HTL Cup Series career. Gets passed by Caitlin Height. Tracy down to 8th. Flowers, fastest man on the racetrack that last time around. Trying to close in on 2nd place. Reminder, if a caution comes out between now and lap 50, that caution ends the stage. There are no planned stage breaks. But if a caution happens, it will end the stage early, just to avoid shenanigans. Flowers does get around for that 2nd spot. 2 to go in the stage, but both the 34 and the 00 tag the wall on the exit of turn 4. Now, you do have to be careful in this circumstance. There are rules against wall riding, something that was made popular by Ross Chastain in Martinsville a couple years ago. You cannot ride the fence in an attempt to gain an advantage. That is penalized harshly. And for Blowers, who is already on probation after the issues with race manipulation at Indianapolis, that would be a suspension for him. So you have to be careful. Last lap of stage 1. Casey Wygent going to hold on here to win the stage. And he will gain just 2 points on Emily Howe. Wygent, Blowers, Howe, Thompson, Height, Sasek, Perry, Tracy. Your top 8. Byron Jones, Stephen Overstat take up the rest of the stage points there in stage 1. 3 wide. Tracy trying to stay ahead of Perry and Stephen Overstat, and does. But feeling the heat. Overstat on fresher tires there in the number 3. Byron Jones also fresher tires compared to Mo Perry and Malachi Tracy, but Tracy still battling forward here. Alfred Denny moves up into the top 10 to kick off stage 2. And trouble, huge trouble, Brady Smith. Brady Smith cautions out for the 6th time. And snake bitten for the 2nd race in a row here in Homestead. He was snake bitten on Saturday, Brady Smith, for the Challenger Series. And now in trouble again. And so caution comes out for the 6th time in 53 laps. It's Brady Smith that is our recipient of that 6th yellow, and it's a little bit of contact there with Zach Meredith, who has had a rough day already. So that contact begins on the exit of turn 2, and the question that I've got, did Brady Smith move up, or did Zach Meredith come down, or is it a little bit of column A, column B? Smith drifts up a little bit. They are middle 3. That's on Meredith. He gets loose there out of turn 2. Tags the 95. The 95 tags the wall and shoots dead left. Tags the inside wall, too, for good measure. Still rolling. He will continue to roll here. Byron Jones now out in front of Olivia Pereira and Blue Jade. They stayed out under this caution. Byron Jones been on lap 30. Pereira and Jade on lap 13. We'll take a moment to shout out our amazing partners at Advanced, helping us with the heats, helping us with cancer treatment as well, and the recovery that goes with that. If you need help with focus, energy, hydration, sleep, or everything in between, go visit them, advanced.gg, and use Avian Studios to get 10% off of every order you get. They've helped us out a ton since April. If they can help us, they can definitely help you out as well. We're glad that they're on board with us here on ABN. It's been a wacky week for us here at ABN Studios, but we persevere and we get through it. We're glad they're involved. We're also happy that Henderson Graphics is involved. We don't have a clever little graphic yet for our jerry-rigged overlay. We'll work on that. Working on that behind the scenes because Henderson Graphics is the White Flag Lap sponsor, so we do need to figure that one out. Actually working on that as we get ready to go back racing, see if I can make a little more progress on that. Ready to go back racing here. Our 6th restart of the night with Jones and Pereira on old tires. This could be a very rowdy restart, so bear with us on this one. Everyone else on fresher tires here as we get ready to go back racing. Green flag flies, away we go. Pereira on wheel spin, but kept it pointing in the right direction and will get swallowed up quickly here. So will Blue Jade on the number 60 car. Last time Jade was in the number 60 was Indianapolis. Disqualified for race manipulation. Same with Blowers, who's right there in the mix too. Jones trying to hang in there. Byron Jones on older tires gets past here. Fresher tires now at the front of the field. And it's a very familiar trio. Wygant, Hal, and Blowers. The 15 of Hal out in front. Wygant trying to give Pursuit one stage one. But remember, the 00 and the 34, Wygant and Blowers, they got into themselves some trouble last season. No love lost between those two. They will be physical. It got nasty in California last season between those two. It could get ugly here again. Blowers trying to find his way around, but they will give each other no quarter here. Emily Howell loving what she is seeing in the rearview mirror. They're going to battle amongst themselves. Caitlin Height up to the top 5. working her way around Byron Jones right now, a former winner of this race. Only two former winners that are technically active. Hunter Peach, part-time, not present for tonight's event. Caitlin Height can't quite get around Byron Jones there. Bailey Thompson there in 6th. Eli Sasek in 7th. Then it's Perry, Tracy, and Oberstadt, your top 10. Stage 2 ends on lap 100. Here comes Caitlin Height, outside lane. Support from Thompson there for a moment. They'll go 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. Thompson in the middle. Height on fresher tires than Byron Jones. Same with Bailey Thompson. And they'll both get clear of him here into turn 3. Caitlin Height tried to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Bailey Thompson covered it off pretty well. Blowers around Wygent there for second. Wygent, a little bit of latency. You see him blinking back and forth there. Thankfully, a little bit of space, but that's something to be concerned about with Thompson and Height running faster than the leaders. Here goes your battle. Thompson and Wygent side by side. This is for third. Thompson needs a good race. Almost a full race out of the playoff cut line. And a little bit of contact between Wygent and Thompson. Out of turn 2. Caitlin Height, best seat in the house for this battle right now in 5th. Both Blowers and Emily Howe have checked out of this one. Bailey Thompson up to 3rd. Wygent in 4th. Caitlin Height 5th. Byron Jones on those older tires hanging in the top 6 at the moment. Ahead of Eli Sasek, Mo Perry, Malachi Tracy, and Stephen Oberstadt. It has been an attrition-filled day. We do have 28 cars still running. Tucker Sawyer back on the racetrack, 11 laps down. Sasek applying pressure to Byron Jones here. Perry in the mix. Keep an eye on Meredith. There he is for 10th. Well up the racetrack there in turns 3 and 4. Trying to get clear of Stephen Oberstadt. He does. Got in there on the fence a little too hard. And we'll lose ground here to DJ Trout, who's now in the mix. Blake Henderson not quite having himself a fun time. Caught himself between a rock and a hard place, dealing with 2 kidney stones and Viscali and Pressy, and nowhere to go. On board with Henderson. Solid bit of side draft there, trying to pull Pressy backwards. Trying to use that to slingshot forward. He is up into the 15th position as Pressy drops down to 17th. For Denny slides backwards a little bit here. Brittany Smith back down the pit lane. He will lose another lap here. Trouble card in the fence. That was Meredith. Meredith in the fence. And Meredith drops down to 19th place. Recovers just ahead of Derek Miller. Top three have pulled away from Wygant here. Hal leads by 3/4 of a second over Blowers, who has a second in hand over Thompson. Tracy getting passed there by Mo Perry for 8th place. Henderson's gotten around Alfred Denny, his teammate. Still struggling to get around that of the Scally and Stephen Overstaff. But he is now up into the 13th position. He is on the move. Biggest mover up 13 spots, Caitlin Height has struggled to find a way around Pacey Wygant here. Sasek behind her. Byron Jones behind him. Everyone trying to race to lap 100 here. Blue Jade now down pit lane. And trouble for Meredith. That's turn 1 and 2. He has had a rough day here at Homestead. Staying green, but he has had himself a rough time. Blue Jade down pit lane this time around. Emily Howe out in front. Brady Smith's day is over. Tucker Sawyer will pass him and take 27th. Kelly Thompson in third, has lost touch. Bobby Blowers has closed in a little bit on your race leader as we complete lap 75. We're halfway through stage 2. Longest green flag run of the day. We're not far from halfway. Halfway is technically halfway through lap 81. Six-tenths the gap at the front of the field. 2.3 is the gap between Blowers and Thompson. Thompson having a day that is very sorely needed. Thompson entered this race in 27th, 88 points, away from the cut line. Not been a pleasant time this season for Bailey Thompson. Finish on the podium at Daytona, a 5th at Las Vegas. That is it. Thompson's next best result, a 20th Indianapolis, 25th at Talladega. 5 races. 33rd or worse is a dire position to be in for Bailey Thompson. Another podium would do a lot of wonders. Caution has come out. And it's for Zach Meredith, who I think has finally been put out of his misery. Let's take a look. Turn 2 once again, and he's going to bite the bullet pretty hard. Ooh. Yep, pretty hard bullet being bitten there. And so the caution is out. His day is over. And that'll be another spot for Tucker Sawyer to pick up and scavenge. We'll have a reset here. You see as Meredith's time is withdrawn from the board, meaning that his race is effectively over. The whole field will come down pit lane on this go around. Almost 30 laps run on this set of tires. Everyone was giving it a pretty solid go. Richard Odie stays out. Everyone else down pit lane here. Free pass, Blue Jay, who just came down pit lane under green flag conditions, will restart the tail of the field. Started this race with 33. We are down to 26 on the racetrack. Tucker Sawyer has a few laps to go before he can catch up and pass Zach Meredith on the timing sheets. Emily Howe and Bailey Thompson, your top 2, leaving pit lane. Slow stop for Bobby Blowers. He loses spots to Thompson and to Pacey Wygant here. Mo Perry in 6th, Byron Jones in 7th, Eli Sasek in 8th, Kalen Height in 9th, DJ Trout in 10th is how they line up out of pit lane for this 7th caution of the night. We have been working in the meantime on getting stuff set up for the remainder of this race. So yeah, Henderson Graphics, the last lap sponsor. Still need to balance that a little bit. One spot too high. Making do with what we got here on Avian Studios. A very rudimentary system here, what we normally have. We have that running. Richard Odie on old tires will lead the field to green. Emily Howe has a pretty good straight shot as long as Richard Odie does not spin the tires here on this 7th restart of the night. Odie, Howe, Thompson, Wygant, Blowers, Perry, Jones, Sasser, your top 8. We're back underway. And Odie says, I'm actually not going to do that. He wanted the bonus point for leading a lap, and he got exactly what he wanted out of that. Unfortunately, did not help Bailey Thompson at all, being stuck there in 3rd. Flowers also checked up there on the inside lane, 3 wide, further back. Henderson in the middle behind. That's Philip Snipes and Alfred Denny flanking him on both sides. Malachi Tracy almost 4 wide. Derek Miller tags the fence out of 4. Thompson, Perry, Wygant all battling for that second spot. Blowers dropped down to 6th for a moment. A little bit of contact there between Thompson and Wygant. And we're beginning to see elbows come out just a little bit here. A little more. Take a shot, give a shot. Between Wygant and Thompson. Perry, bottom of the racetrack, trying to side draft off the 27. This could get ugly too. Perry's another driver that needs a really good run here. Back-to-back DNF. Same with Thompson the last 2 weeks. And Perry gets moved by Blowers, who saves it. What a save by Perry. What a save. Thompson crowds Wygant to the fence. A lot of drivers that don't like each other right now are all together. Hold on to your seatbelts. Emily Howe, everything is in her rearview mirror right now, and she's hoping it stays that way. What, what a turn of events this is. Thompson and Wygant, they'll go back at it here. And wow, Wygant shut the door on Blowers hard. There's gonna be an eye for an eye that goes a little too far here. That is the huge concern right now. Thompson clear for second though. Her job for the time being is done. She's gotten clear for second, now trying to chase down the race leader. Here comes Pacey Wygant again, sends it deep through turns 3 and 4. A little bit more contact for good measure. This is going to get very ugly, and Wygant almost spins. Wygant tried to lean on Thompson on the exit of turn 3 and 4, and Thompson didn't budge. And now Wygant's out of the top 15, now in 17th, 16th place, holds on ahead of Apperson. You pinch, you pay is one of the mottos, one of the many mottos used for stock car racing. Thompson survives, and now only has to deal with Blowers. Trouble, Henderson trying to avoid crashing the car. Is that going to be a yellow at will? He was trying so hard out of turn 4 to avoid spinning that car out. But we do get our 8th caution. We have now matched the Challenger Series race from Saturday. In the Challenger Series race, ran 125 laps under its finale. There's a good chance we're going to break that limit for the Cup Series, having 35 laps to go before we get to that 125 marker. In Stage 3, the end of Stage 2 is going to end up with a sprint to the finish. Let's take a look. We got to back it up here. Pacey Wygant got a piece of this as well. So we'll back it up into where this all started. No contact, I don't think. And it's going to be hard to tell. This will be a better angle for what we need it to do. So let's follow this. Quarter speed, slow motion. Battling with Viscali is Henderson, bottom of the racetrack. Is there contact between the two? If there is, it's not much. But Henderson and Viscali, no love lost between these two either. And I would not be surprised if this draws enough ire from the 25 that retaliation ends up becoming a possibility. Because it's been multiple weeks now. Michigan was a couple of incidents that could have gotten a lot worse. Henderson tries saving it, gets a tap here from Wygant. And unfortunately, just can't keep it in the right direction. And the caution has to be thrown. Now, I do want to back it up and see. The best way to tell if there's contact is by riding on board. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. On board with the 25. I don't think there is. I think Viscali packs the air. on the right side of Henderson's car. I don't think there's contact there. And you see he tries wheeling and dealing here, trying to keep this car in the right direction. You hear the contact there with Wygant. So Henderson comes down pit lane. He's thrown out of the stage points here. Wygant on pit lane. It looks like he's got more significant damage. Did he beat the pace car out? I don't know if he did. He's saying he did. So it'll be close. Emily Howell, Bailey Thompson, your front of the field here. Coming to 9 to go in stage 2. Bobby Blowers, Eli Sasek, DJ Trout, top 5. Kalen Height in 6th. Mo Perry, Byron Jones, Philip Snipes, Mirabella Viscala, your top 10. Fighting for stage points right now. Let's see how this turns out as the field bunches up here for this 8th restart tonight. It's been a wacky and physical race here in Homestead, and it's only going to get crazier here. The green flag flies away. We go. Will spin Thompson. Will spin Thompson on the restart in the fence. First gear restart didn't bite. And Thompson throws away a second place start. And could be race over. Howe and Blowers battling now for the race lead. Howe defending the outside lane. Car in the fence once again. Derek Miller, the 18. He presses on. Thompson down pit lane. This could be day done for the 27. Will spin on the restart for the 8th time. And the 27 ends up in the fence. Blowers outside lane that go around. Howe ran the middle and stays in the race lead. But it's spacing here between Blowers and Sasek here, between 2nd and 3rd, which will give Blowers the ability to feel comfortable making attempts at this race lead. How much does Emily Howe fight him here? Remember, she is in the points lead. Blowers will almost cost himself. The answer is Emily Howe didn't have to battle. Blowers fought himself and lost there. And now he's got to deal with Eli Sasek and DJ Trout. Trout in 4th, Perry in 5th. Viscali right now up into 6th, ahead of Byron Jones, Caitlin Height, and Stephen Overstaff. Malachi Tracy, the 35, in the last points-paying spot for Stage 2, trying to hang in there ahead of Philip Snipes and Zach Apperson. Five to go here in stage number 2. Howe and Blowers at the front of the field. This is the battle further back, 6th on down. Fighting for stage points right now. Caitlin Height battling with Viscali. Teammates here for Arrowhead Racing in this battle ahead of Byron Jones. These teammates will fight. And Height gets clear of Viscali and immediately sets sights on Mo Perry in the 97. And Mo Perry will try to defend using the side draft on the outside lane. through 3 and 4. And Perry gets shuffled out into the fence. And wow. More trouble from the back. Odie and Denny. And there's your 9th yellow, and the stage ends. Zach Apperson grabs the last stage point there. Ahead of Mo Perry, who got thrown out of the points after contact with Caitlin Height. Odie gets spun off the nose of Alfred Denny, and we'll take a look at how all of that played out here. Our 9th caution of the night. And this is what it looked like. This is the Richard Odie and Alfred Denny situation. That's just Richard Odie thinking that he was clear, and Alfred Denny was there trying to follow his teammate there in Blake Henderson, who sits 13th at the moment. Odie thought he was clear, and he very much was not clear in that situation. Mo Perry, though, will have to back this one up because this is going to be, I think, ire-inducing from Mo Perry between Perry and Height. Perry trying to drive out of the corner. Caitlin Height just moves him straight to the fence. And the caution comes out after Apperson passes him, and he loses out on stage points. And that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a very hard pill to swallow. Malachi Tracy, who did score stage points there, stays out, as does Derek Miller, Blue Jade, and Olivia Pereira. Tucker Sawyer gets a lap back. He got the free pass that go around as he pursues passing Zach Meredith on the racetrack. Zach Meredith completed 75 laps. Okay, so he's already passed Meredith. He's now looking to get around Bailey Thompson, who completed 91 laps. Tucker Sawyer is completing lap 89 right now. So he's not far away. Just now reading the chat here on YouTube. Summary of HTL, insert driver A and insert driver B. No love lost between those two. Yeah, kinda. That's something you see in a lot of competitive, series, though, like HTL, like Winstel. There's some animosity. How much you see it just kind of depends on circumstance, but when you start looking at like really high quality competitions where there's a lot of battling week in, week out, and it's the same group of drivers for years on end, there's a lot of pent up frustration and resentment. So you find that a little bit. There are some friends. We do talk about some friends at some point, but we haven't had a lot of friends on the racetrack together. We've had a lot of rivals on the racetrack around each other here. The lead, no such issue there. Malachi Tracy, Derek Miller, no issues between those two, at least not that I'm aware of. They first raced each other in the VRR Super Cup 2 years ago. They now share the front row for this 9th restart of the night. We're underway. And stage 3 is now underway as well. Perry in the wall again, and I think that was contact with Pressey. And Pressey gets turned by Sawyer, and it's at the back of the field. And our 10th caution happens immediately. Let's go back and take a look here. Perry and Pressey nose to tail here on the outside lane. And we're not going to bother with slow motion because we're going to see what happens here in just a moment. Perry tries jumping the restart there and check up. And it doesn't have to. Pressy didn't touch him. Pressy touched Wygent trying to get clear. And Sawyer gets a piece of it, so he won't get the free pass this go around. But Perry just checked up and spun out. And then Pressy spun himself trying to avoid it. Everyone trying to game that restart and jump the gun on it. A little bit of damage on the 90 and the 30 and the 20 and the 97 of Perry, who ended up in the fence. And so we're under our 10th caution tonight here in Homestead. Ten cautions tonight is a little bit rough. We had 8 cautions last season in the race won by Hunter Peach. Fun fact, this is the most cautions HTL's ever had at Homestead-Miami Speedway. I almost said Homestead International Speedway, which is not even close. So we are at caution number 10 tonight. Let me run through. We've done 6 prior races here, the HTL Cup Series at Homestead. 3 cautions in Season 1. 2 cautions in Season 2. 3 cautions in Season 4. 8 cautions in Season 5. 5 cautions in Season 6. 8 cautions in Season 7. Important to note, those 6 races all had stage breaks and stage cautions thrown for them. We didn't have that for this race. These 10 cautions have all been for incidents tonight. So this is a low day for the HTL Cup Series at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Malachi Tracy continues to lead ahead of Blue Jade. Emily Howe in third alongside Derek Miller. Zach Apperson and Olivia Pereira, your top 6 for this 10th restart. It is a jumbled up field. Mo Perry's day mercifully comes to an end. Nick Cressy will rejoin 23rd, last car on the lead lap. Tucker Sawyer slowly climbing back into the top 20 here. Piece by piece, little by little, retirement by retirement. He's getting there. Malachi Tracy, the pressure's on him once again. Blue Jade in the 60, trying to make up for what was lost at Indianapolis with that race manipulation disqualification. The green flag flies. We're back underway here, 10th restart. And immediately Emily Howe says, I'm going for the race lead. See y'all later. And that's exactly what happened. Emily Howe and Malachi Tracy side by side for the race lead. Howe and Tracy cleared Blue Jade. Jade trying to hang in there. Pereira in the mix. Apperson and Henderson now in the mix as well. Miller in the middle. Further back and sliding backwards. A little bit of contact there. Miller and Trout. They keep it clean. They keep it in the right direction. I wouldn't say keep it clean, but they kept it pointing in the right direction. That was outside the top 10. Henderson trying to get around Jade. That is 4-6th. If he can manage it. Also trying to get around Caitlin Height. If he can get that 2-for-1 combo. Mirabella Viscali, his best friend, is right there. Contact between Jade and Henderson. Still trouble. They stay green. Everyone scrambles. Jade drove Henderson up the racetrack and bounced off of him. And somehow they both kept it from spinning out. But both of them now wear scars of it. Henderson out of the top 10, but still in the mix. And he's got damage, and you can tell. The aero balance of that 25 car now off. And it's going to make things a lot more difficult for him for the remainder of this race until he gets it fixed. Can't do much on the inside lane, drifts to the outside lane. Now what he's trying to do is he's trying to shelter and protect that right side from any further issues. He is just trying to limp it to either the next caution or to the next pit stop to see what he can do. Emily Howe out in front, Malachi Tracy in second, Olivia Pereira looking for her first top 10 since she finished in the top 10 on her debut last season in the Daytona 500. It has been a long, miserable road for the 96 of Pereira. To kind of highlight how bad it has been for Pereira, Pereira has raced, is the lowest rated full-time driver in the field in 39th place in points. So a good result, very necessary. Just for morale at this point. Caitlin Height gets through for third. So Arrowhead sits first and third. Odie Racing sits in the middle. It's Toyota's 1, 2, 3, 4. Your best Chevrolet's in fifth with Blowers. And Apperson in sixth, your best four. Apperson closes in on this battle. Pereira checking up Blowers as they battle in the turn one. Pascali in seventh, Snipes in eighth. His first race in the 11. Wygett ninth, Trout in 10th. Mo Perry back on the racetrack. You see him there leading pit lane. Everything beginning to cool down just a little bit. Battle for the Ford, Apperson and Snipes. The 4 and the 11. Battling side by side. This will be one of Philip Snipes' best runs if he can hold on to it. He won the Daytona 500 to open up the season. Thought that was kind of it for him. Arrowhead Racing and Savalier Racing draft him on board. He's now done most of the season. Trouble in the back. Arnold spun around backwards. Who all was involved in that? I believe Byron Jones. You see the 24 further backwards. That is Byron Jones. Someone else was involved in that. But it is Byron Jones and Josh Arnold that bear the weight of the loss on this 11th caution of the night. And Mo Perry comes back in the nick of time, gets the free pass for this 11th caution of the night. And what happens? You see slow motion. Arnold just gets super loose in turns 1 and 2. It looks like Alfred Denny's going to be the one that gets pinned here, and he is. But Arnold just gets loose, just like his teammate Meredith, who got really loose several occasions. Arnold now losing grip of that car in a pretty massive way. Pit stops underway for the race leaders. Perry gets a lap back here, I do believe. So free pass goes to the 97. Would not be surprised if Sawyer used the wave around rule to also get a lap back here and hope for another caution. Why not? Nick Pressey, who came down pit lane lap 104 for damage repair, stays out here. And for a rare moment this season, the number 20 is out in front of an HTL Cup Series race. Pressey, Hal, Tracy. Your top three. Nick Pressey, older tire, staying out, having just pit 14 laps ago. We talk about a driver that is needing redemption of some kind. Nick Pressey is in desperate need of it. Sitting 32nd in points right now. Is a tough spot to be in. Do things begin to improve here in Homestead? We find out. 25 cars still circulating out of the 33 that started. It has been a very difficult race. 11th restart coming up. Nicholas Pressey, Emily Howe, Malachi Tracy, Olivia Pereira, P.C. Wygent, your top five. Mirabella Viscali in 6th. Caitlin Heighton 7th. Bobby Blowers in 8th. Zach Apperson and Philip Snipes, your top 10 for this restart. 23 on the lead lap. Pace car is in, and the green flag flies again. We're back underway. Pressey doing what he needed to do to try to hold on to the race lead here. Emily Howe wise enough to stay with him. Road 2 on back, asleep at the wheel on the restart. Let's see how it plays out. Pereira attacking Tracy. That is for 3rd. As Emily Howe goes for the race lead. Pressey's not going to want to give it up, but Howe's got fresher tires and track position. Pereira gets loose, gives 3rd back to Tracy. Howe to the front of the field. Wygent outside lane, ripping the top, trying to move forward. Emily Howe has yet to win a race this season. She's been stubbornly consistent. That's why she has a 114-point gap over Pacey Wygent, despite the fact that Wygent's got a race win. Three wide for 2nd. And Wygent goes through, free and clear there. And now Pressey in trouble. Pressey checks up Apperson. Checked up Apperson again there. Viscali went topside. Philip Snipes in the mix. Press is going to be forced in the middle, 3 wide. And everyone just trying to navigate the 20, who's beginning to now feel the effects of those older tires. As everyone begins to really let the lead out here. With 40 to go, coming to 39 to go this time by. Howell leads. Wygant, Tracy, Blowers, and Caitlin Height, your top 5 at the moment. Sasek in 11th, battling with Pereira for that top 10. Almost trouble between Pressey and Trout. Pressey got sideways, got squirrely, but holds on to it, loses a couple more spots, down to 15th. That is Blue Jade dropping position as well. So still a lot in the mix right now. Battle for third, Blowers and Tracy. Blowers trying to use his pace advantage to get around the 35. From 35, not keen to just let it go. And Tracy gets loose at a 2 and will drop behind Caitlin Height. What a save there from the English driver to keep that car from getting completely out of shape. Apperson now in 6th and in range. Viscali and Snipes, teammates, sitting 7th and 8th right now. Pereira and 9th, Steven Oberstadt around Eli Sasek for 10th. Battle rages on here in Miami. A little bit more of a battle here between Tracy, Viscali, and Snipes. Viscali trying to move forward. Malachi Tracy slipping backwards just a little bit more, lap to lap. Just trying to hang in there right now. If this race goes green all the way to the finish, and that seems unlikely with 11 cautions so far in this event, but if it were to go green all the way, green flag pit stops would be required. But you'd also imagine we would have run out of cars at the point to worry about cautions again. Pereira getting passed by DJ Trout, it looks like. As Viscali and Snipes battle it out. Snipes ahead for 7th. Trout trying to hurt his way forward, gets a loose out of turn 2 on his own, and will lose all of the ground that he just made up. Talk about a kick in the teeth right there. Emily Howell out in front. 31 laps to go here in Miami. And it's an 8/10 gap to Pacey Wygant. The top 2 in the points are top 2 in this race right now. Bobby Blowers looking for another podium to complement his podium from Nashville. But pit stops are still a cycle. They're still a factor, and Blowers has been weaker on the pit stop sequences tonight. That is a concern that he's got to think about right now. Caitlin Height there in 4th. Zach Apperson in 5th. Malachi Tracy, Mirabella Viscali, Philip Snipes, Steven Oberstadt, and Eli Sasek are top 10. as things currently run. Josh Arnold comes down pit lane here. This could be his last stop to be good to go to the finish. That was the damaged race car. Kind of just limping around wounded, but we'll see what he can pick up here. Snipes, Sasek, Trout, 3 wide. 4 ninth. And Snipes loses out. As Viscali deals with Steven Overstapp. If you want an indication as to how bad Blake Henderson's race is going right now, he is getting passed by Gary Donaldson for 19th place. The Tombstone Motorsport cars have had a rough day. Donaldson there with Henderson and Denny, 19th, 20th, and 21st. That is a tough pill to swallow. On top of that, Bailey Thompson, race over. Wheel spun into the wall on a restart. You got one good car, and that's the Unforgiven Motorsports car of Zach Apperson, right now sitting in 5th. TJ Trout battling with Eli Sasek here for the 8th spot right now. They've gotten around Snipes and Viscali, who have been dropped down to 10th and 11th respectively. Here they are battling with Pereira, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Derek Miller in 13th. Jason Scott in 14th. And Casey Ellis in 15th. Blue Jade in 16th. Byron Jones in 17th. 18th, Nick Pressey. 19th, Blake Henderson. Alfred Denny getting around Gary Donaldson for 20th place. And this is the gap at the front of the field between your top 3. Steven Overstapp on the climb forward. He is now up into the 6th spot. Battling Malachi Tracy to hold on to it. Overstapp in that number 3. Tracy in the 35. Car on the fence, Miller again. And Steven Overstapp gets clear of the 35 for 6th. His eyes now set on the 4 of Apperson and the pit stops that come in between. Trout still battling with Sasek, still battling with Pereira. Snipes still in range as well. Everyone's still in this group right now. With 21 cars on the lead lap. Trouble, Alfred Denny. On his own. Trying to get that car fired back up. This could be a yellow. It's going to be a yellow. There it is. He was trying to get that car refired. Yeah, we'll take a look as to what happened to Alfred Denny there. Out of turn 4. battling with teammates there. It'll be our 12th caution of the night, and it'll set up a less than 20-lap restart to the finish. So here's what happened to Alfred Denny. That is the 90 of Tucker Sawyer, not on the lead lap, going around him. And it just snaps to the left. We've seen that so many times tonight, both in turn 2 and turn 4. Similar to Blake Henderson's incident earlier. Only a lot more sudden for the 21. He tries getting it back in the right direction. Tries to get it in gear, and it just drops on him. Unfortunate, he will lose a lap there on that situation. The race leaders down pit lane this time. Pole sitter to his box. Emily Howe looking for a chance to lead the race. Zach Apperson's going to win this battle of pit lane. Wow. A two-tire stop for Apperson for track position. Was already top 5, but wants a chance to win a race for the second time in his career. Taking a gamble is the 4. We'll see if it works out. Apperson, Hell, Wygant, Blowers, Height, your top 5. This is gutsy. Very, very gutsy. I'm a fan of it, though. I want to see how this plays out. Coming to 19 to go. 2 cars getting away from around here. That is Richard Odie and Mo Perry. So the field will stack back up here for the 12th restart of the race. And with that, there's no chance of green flag pit stops in this race tonight. Apperson, Hal, Blowers, Wygant, Height, Pereira, Oberstadt, Viscali, Sasick, Tracy, your top 10 for this 12th restart tonight. It's time to get ready to bring the thunder. Green flag flies, away we go. Remember, Apperson on 2 tires, so is Pereira. Wygant immediately going after Emily Howe there. Couldn't quite close the deal there. Howe, though, gets clear. Flowers goes topside, trying to find a way around Apperson, and does. And this could backfire on the 4. Here comes Wygant for the race lead. And Emily Howe right back on the outside lane. Goodness gracious, gets clear. Absolute insanity. A car spun. Gary Donaldson did not draw a caution, though. He's out of the way. And Donaldson's day is done. Coming to 15 laps to go here in Homestead-Miami. Howell, Wygant, Blowers, Haidt, Apperson, your top 5. Make that Pereira looking for a top 5. Pereira also on 2 tires. Tracy, Oberstadt, Sasek, 3 wide. Sasek backed out of it as they were trying to move forward. Can they move forward? Steven Oberstadt says he thinks he can. Gets around the 4 Apperson, who's falling down backwards quickly. Tracy working to get around Pereira. Pereira in the fence at a turn 2. A little bit of contact between the 96 and 35. 96 gets moved up the racetrack. Tracy gets through. And Malachi Tracy now top 5. Top 4 back to their own rhythm. It is 5th on down. They are now huge question marks. Emily Howell and Pacey Wygant pursuing each other at the front of the field. Blowers watching. Kalen Haidt watching. Wygant trying to chase down the 15. Cat and mouse game at the front of the field. 12 laps to go here in Miami. It's Emily Howell looking for her first career HTL Cup Series win. Wygant looking to add to his total. To add to the trophy case next to Talladega earlier this season. $11 to go at the line. Oberstadt in 6th. Got around Pereira. Philip Snipes on the charge as well in the 11. Sasek's been spinning his wheels a little bit. He's not been able to get much progress going forward. DJ Trout attacking him now. Wygant now under threat from Blowers. Keep an eye on this battle. This could be a pretty spicy one. Side by side, the 2 go. Down the back straightaway. How aggressive do they decide to be this time? Less than 10 laps to go. This is the battle for second. Emily Howell loving what she is seeing. And there you go! Contact between the 34 and the 00. Kalen Haidt goes through for second. And we said, watch out between the 34 and the 00 that it could be trouble. Malachi Tracy looking for 3rd. And we're not done. The 34 and the 00 side by side again through turns 1 and 2. How do you play this one out? Tracy to the podium. Can he hold on to it? Flowers clear of Wygant. Wygant now back on the attack. Flowers wants to take 3rd back away from Malachi Tracy here. Tracy defends the outside lane, which is the smart thing to do. Flowers has to slot back in line. He's got to continue to chip away at it here. Arrowhead Racing teammates first and second, but the conversation is about third, fourth, and fifth right now. That's what matters the most, because this could be a firework ready to ignite. Oh, here you go. Contact, bump draft down into turn one between Blowers and Wygant. Wygant tried shipping the 34 into turn one. Blowers was wise to it. Coming to 5 laps to go. I am exasperated right now with how this race is suddenly shaken up. Josh Arnold down pit lane. Looks like he has a speeding penalty to go on top of it. And that'll just about do his race in. Tracy blocks, covers off the 34. Pretty wise move there. Blowers can't change direction as much as he'd like to. Here comes Wygant. Looking at the outside, and they make contact again. The top two have pulled away. And Tracy doing what he needs to do to feed Blowers back into Wygant. Let them have cake. Henderson down pit lane now, maybe. No, he's leaving pit lane now, excuse me. Actually, I think, insult to injury, I think he spun down there and just got out of the way. This is going to get ugly, 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 ugly. More contact between Wygant and Blowers. Driving in deep, throwing haymakers at each other right now. And it's costing them all time. You got to be careful. You have to be careful here. You have top fives right now to not give others a chance to capitalize on your misfortune. They are throwing haymakers at each other right now, coming to 2 to go. Tight to the bottom of the racetrack. Blowers and Wygant. Emily Howell leads. 2 to go. And this could get ugly in a hurry. When does the other shoe drop is the question. These two have wrecked each other before. Last season, Fontana. They've almost done it twice in this race. Coming to the white flag lap. Emily Howell leads us to 1 to go, presented by Henderson Graphics. Emily Howell, Caitlin Height, Malachi Tracy, Pacey Wygant, Bobby Blowers, your top 5. Does it stay that way the last mile of this race? How aggressive do you get? Blowers sends it in deep. How much room does he take? Side by side, contact. They fence each other and they crash. Emily Howell wins. And Blowers fences Wygant for 4th. Emily Howell wins over Caitlin Height and Malachi Tracy, a first career podium in HTL. Blowers and Wygant, keep an eye on this. Showing his displeasure in a big way. Wygant comes home in 5th. So the change is 1 position. Emily Howell, though, first career HTL Cup Series victory. And you want to talk about putting an authoritative stamp on the championship lead. It does not get much better than that. Four races to go after tonight to determine the 16 championship contenders. Emily Howell if she hasn't punched her ticket already to the round of 16, she's not far from it. Emily Howe victorious tonight here in Miami. What a fight at the end of that race. 12 cautions, a very physical, a very messy race here in Homestead for HTL standards. Entering this race, they averaged 6 cautions a race. They doubled that tonight. But when the racing was on, it was electric, as we thought it would be. Let's take a look at the results here in Homestead. Emily Howe, Caitlin Height, Malachi Tracy, Bobby Blowers, Pacey Wygant, Stephen Oberstadt, DJ Trout, Eli Sasick, Olivia Pereira, and Philip Snipes, your top 10 here in Homestead. Derek Miller, 11th. Byron Jones, 12th. Blue Jade, Casey Ellis, Zach Apperson. The two-tire strategy does not work for him. Ends up in 15th. Jason Scott, 16th, ahead of Alfred Denny. Mirabella Viscali in 18th. A disappointing run for her as well. Nick Pressey, last car, lead lap in 19th place. Blake Henderson not taking the checkered flag 3 laps from the finish, having to pull that car down pit lane in the 20th position. Josh Arnold in 21st. Richard Odie, Mo Perry, Tucker Sawyer, the last cars that see the checkered flag at all tonight. Gary Donaldson, a long list of retirements, follows him. Bailey Thompson, Zach Meredith, Brady Smith, Justin Mulliken, Elias Flores, Josh Susi, Patrick Oberstadt, John Matthews, and Dale Markowski did not start tonight's race here in Miami. First career win for Emily Howe. First career podium for Malachi Tracy here tonight in the HTL Cup Series Miami 400. Podium interviews coming up pretty quickly here. Let's start with third place. Malachi Tracy, the underdog team, becomes the Wonderdog team. Odie Racing without a podium or a win in their entire HTL Cup Series history. Malachi Tracy, the rookie driver from England, grabs podium for the first time for the team. Malachi, walk us through that race. You had a lot to deal with at the end of that race, trying to keep the Hornets' nest behind you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me here in HTL. It's a pleasure to race here every week. Well, every week I can, obviously. I don't know. I came into this because I'm going to Germany tomorrow. I came into this just like last one, to have a clean race, just finish all the laps. And then I magically find myself running top 10 all day. I didn't think I was going to get anywhere near that. But yeah, it was a fun race. Props to Emily. She was incredible. I could not believe the speed her car had today. But mine was just as fast. So I'm very happy.
A huge day for you here. Obviously, 20 spots gained from where you qualified this race 23rd. Climbed your way forward, 12 cautions, a pretty wild race, all things considered. You had to be in front of it, you had to be behind of it, you got to be in the middle of all of it tonight here. What was it that helped this 35 car move along? Obviously, you talk about the car having a lot of pace. You have a lot of room to sort of make things happen, but a lot of ways that things could have gone wrong tonight. What was it about this racetrack that just sort of hooked up in ways that we hadn't seen yet from the 35 cam?
Well, I've always liked Homestead. Coming into this, my only real experience at this track was C-Fixed. I love this place. It was the first track I bought. I'm a big Larson fan, so it's like a second home to me here. But yeah, I like the track definitely had one lane for a while, but towards the end, you could definitely run both the bottom and the top, and I feel like that kind of helps me because keeping that momentum just kind of kept me ahead of the guys because, Bobby and I forget who else was behind me.
Pacey.
They were so much faster than Bobby and Pacey were so much faster than me all day, but just being able to keep that top underneath me was most of what kept me up there. Yeah.
Obviously, you talk about going to Germany tomorrow. So a wild trip for you coming up. That being said, a lot of fun here with the next 4 races. Obviously, New Hampshire, Daytona, the Firecracker 400 coming up after that, Daytona Road Course, and then Charlotte ends out the regular season. This is a lot of momentum to capture in a bottle to try to carry through the rest of the campaign. What's next for the 35 camp and with you in it?
There's only a handful that I can do. There's a good chance I'll get to do New Hampshire. I think I get back home in time, just in time for that. So I'll try to be here for New Hampshire. I do not have the list of scheduled races on me, but it's important. I should say big thanks to Odie for letting me race his car. You know, it's one of the chartered entries, so I don't have to I don't have to get worried about being sent home. But yeah, it's a pleasure. Obviously, getting to run my buddy Casey's number as well. That's a great help. He helped me get into this whole thing, so thank you to him as well. But yeah, I'm hoping, keep this going. Touch wood, maybe I can capture a bit of lightning in a bottle and finish in the top 10 more often now.
In all sorts of single step, Malachi Tracy, 3rd place tonight here in Homestead-Miami Speedway. First podium for both Tracy and the team here tonight. Before we let you go and let you get ready for that trip to Germany, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on your first podium here in HTL.
Thank you. Just thank you to everyone in HTL. You've been lovely to me this whole time. It's a great, you guys are, well, I don't talk here as often as I should, but the guys here are lovely. Thanks to Bobby, Blue, Casey, those guys are some of my big friends on iRacing. They got me into all sorts of stuff that I've really wanted to do since I started sim racing. And if any of the people that I sent the link to this race, my friends that I'm going to Germany with, or my friend Cammy, shout out you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I promised these guys I'd finish well for them. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
A phenomenal job for Malachi Tracy here. 3rd place tonight, first podium for Malachi Tracy and for Odie Racing here in Miami. Historic night. Malachi, congratulations, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in New Hampshire next week.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. See you next time.
A phenomenal drive for Malachi Tracy. Arrowhead Racing, though, get a 1-2. It's Caitlin Height finishing in 2nd tonight for Arrowhead Racing. That 13 car had to climb through the field. 26 spots gained from the starting spot. Started this race down in 28th position. Caitlin, walk us through that race for you. That was very intense, very physical, I think, for just about the entire field tonight.
Yeah, there was one restart where it just went kerpoof and cars were everywhere, and there was one car in front of me, but that I only got a 0x and was able to drive away from. But other than that, great car tonight. It was just like unreal. I mean, but I had to fight inside the top 10. It felt like each way, and no, it just played out where I got P2 there, and yeah, just tried to drive down Emily, but it's Emily. It's gonna be tough.
A good result here for the 13 camp. Obviously, the race win at Las Vegas helps kind of keep things afloat here. Being top 6 in points, you move up into, I believe, 4th place in points. Actually, 3rd place in points is where you end up tonight after today's race, with obviously no Dustin Hall or Bryn Roberts, and Josh Arnold having his rough race here. So relative safety for that 13 camp with 4 races to go, including Daytona coming up here in a couple weeks. This 13 camp is all about gaining momentum at this point. How important are those 4 races to sort of set the tone going into the chase that the 13 car is going to be a part of?
Yeah, it's really just going to be, as you said, protecting the points and just going forward with it. But I mean, so far the car has just been running well, and just I still I can't say enough about it from Emily's point of view, because she she set up the car and it drove beautifully through practice, and like, sucks for Susie. But I I'm really just sort of rambling on. I mean, sure, I had this stroke and everything with it, and ended up in the hospital, and I'm coming back from it though. That this type of racetrack, having to shift really kind of like fucks up my driving, but I felt pretty good tonight. Pretty good.
And it's obviously all positive here from Homestead. We head to New Hampshire next Monday. 4 races to go until we get to the playoffs here. Obviously, everything getting back into a bit more of the routine, a bit more normal for that 13 camp going into this next month lying ahead. What's the vibes going into New Hampshire? Some people love it, some people hate it. It just got a refresh, and HTL's going there for the first time post refresh. What's the thoughts going into the Magic Mile?
I have no thoughts whatsoever, and I mean, I'm gonna go there and just see where I end up.
A phenomenal job here for the 13 camp. Caitlin Height, second place, back on the podium here in Miami. Caitlin, before we let you go, if there's anyone want to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Always great to see you on the podium here and on the racetrack here in HTL. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Carmen. First, I want to give a shout out to sponsors, Henderson Graphics, and all of them. Want to say thank you to the admins for putting on the show. You for spending the time up in the booth, and all the fans in the stands there. Always great when they watch it. And then also just want to thank Rivers, Chris, and Jamie as well for, hopefully, if they did see this, it's been, well, one heck of a time. One heck of a time.
It was a wild race on our end, at least here in Homestead-Miami Speedway. Caitlin Height, second place tonight. Obviously, fantastic to see Caitlin back on the podium. Caitlin, enjoy the podium, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in a similar fashion next week in New Hampshire. Enjoy it and enjoy your week.
All right. Thank you.
A phenomenal job for Caitlin Height here tonight. Second place in Homestead-Miami Speedway, back on the podium. It is a first career win, though, in the HTL Cup Series for Emily Howe. Captain consistency is how it's been so far leading into tonight's race. It was not easy. Pacey Wygant, Bobby Flowers tried applying the pressure. There's a lot of drivers in that mix there earlier. Bailey Thompson was in the mix, Malachi Tracy in the mix. It was a pretty big board of drivers that were in that conversation. Emily Howe, walk us through it. Long run pace mattered a whole lot tonight at the end when it mattered. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, as little long run as we had, it ended up being kind of a race where after 10 laps, your tires are kind of falling off a cliff. So our car was just so fantastic late in the run. It never lost really any tire. It could run any lane. It was really a fantastic piece. I never felt uncomfortable in it. I never felt loose, never felt tight. Just purely just going for it. And yeah, I mean, once we got up front, it was tough to do much with me. Really just kind of setting the pace and trying not to burn too much off and just kind of taking it easy.
Obviously a fantastic job here. It felt like this win was coming at some point. It was just a matter of when. The 15 cars looked quick so many times. It looked quick at Kansas. It looked quick at Vegas. It's looked quick throughout the calendar campaign. Grabbing this first win, super important. Almost punched a ticket into the playoffs already with 4 races to go. New Hampshire coming up, a race track that you've won at on ABN screens before, the ABN Champ Car World Series event a couple seasons ago. Then Daytona, a big race coming up for the team, the Firecracker 400 in 2 weeks' time. really helping set the tone for how the season could play out once we get into the fall. How does this win kind of help just shape the rest of the regular season for you? Obviously, hard to touch at the top of the board. You enter this race with over a race advantage over second. That gap only expands tonight. But how do you approach the last four races now that you've gotten that first win?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just keep doing what we've been doing, right? Like, we're out here to win races and finish good. So nothing changes in terms of strategy or in terms of how you approach races, right? We want to bring the best car we can to the track every week. And we want to ultimately be, in contention for a win every week. Remember last week we kind of missed the mark a little bit at Michigan and got taken out for it. But this week we're back with a vengeance, and we were about as strong as we've ever been. And so hopefully we can carry that momentum into the rest of the season and stamp out the regular season.
A phenomenal drive for the 15 camp here tonight. 2 races to go in Winston, and a lot more races to go here in HTL to end out the year. Emily Howe finds victory lane here in the HTL Cup Series race at, I almost forgot where I was at Homestead-Miami Speedway. I almost thought we were in New Hampshire for some reason. That being
Where
said,
are we, Bill?
well, where are we? Yeah, almost. Next Monday will be. That being said, does anyone want to shout and say thank you to the floor is yours. A wild race last night, a wild race tonight. You end up in victory lane on tonight's side of things. So take it away. Congratulations.
Yeah, I got to thank everyone behind the scenes at ABN and the HTL to put this all together. All the good, clean racers out there. All the people who self-spin and then don't get off the track. Bringing out some yellows to get some excitement to the field. I'm sure that looks cool at home. What else? What's on our car? Is it ABN's Patreon on our car this week?
I believe so.
Shout out to ABN's Patreon. I'm sure there's some cool podcasts and behind the scenes things and stuff you can purchase and listen to and look at, and suggestions you can make to Carmen that she'll probably ignore and tell you to go away. But you get the right to do it if you buy the Patreon, which is very important. Shout out Homestead for not being terrible for once. I was very shocked that we ran more than one lane, and then we kept doing that. So that was kind of cool. Shout out to Winstall for dashing my hopes once again of being a championship contender. Coming off turn 4, getting taken out, and season over after leading the points for the whole season. So, one of the racing deals will go on next week, and thank somebody else on either Sunday or Monday.
A lot of fun for Emily Howe coming up next weekend. It is the HTL Cup Series on Sunday from Phoenix, and HTL next Monday here on AVN at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on Monday. Emily, congratulations on the race win, your first race win in HTL. I'm sure we're going to be talking to you a lot more as the season progresses. That being said, enjoy the race win, and hopefully we get to talk to you again on Sunday and talk about you making it a lot more stressful for the championship on Sundays.
Woo!
A phenomenal job for Emily Howe here tonight. A great job for her, as all things are considered here in Homestead. That being said, we put a bow on Homestead-Miami Speedway, a wild race. 161 laps completed. Emily Howe breaks through and grabs her first win in her HTL Cup career. A wild turn of form for the 15 camp. A wild race. A lot to talk about, a lot that will be discussed between now and next Monday in New Hampshire. On behalf of everyone here at ABN and all of our partners here, Henderson Graphics and Advanced, and everyone, all the partners at HTL, I'm Carmen Sienna. Thank you all for being a part of our Monday nights. Nothing tomorrow night. Don't worry. We'll be back again on Thursday for the Crown Athletics IndyCar Series from Phoenix. They're also at Phoenix. I had to remember, it's been a long day. They're at Phoenix on Thursday. Winston's at Phoenix on Sunday. We'll be at New Hampshire on Monday. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Until then,